Hello, can you hear me? Excellent. Okay, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the world, right? Or good evening. This is Christine of Red Soul, and I got a few stories, just some announcements that I'm ordering some materials so I can do these lives a little bit more at home. Right now, I'm in a part of the workplace during my lunch break. And that way, when I'm at home, I can do these more often and, as frequently as I can, just so I can upgrade the support. But the story that I'm going to share in a moment, based on the title of the video, it's also on my podcast, which is, I think it's about 27 minutes long. So if you want to, I will share that link in the description box along with my Spotify. I'm nearly 900 listeners on my podcast. So if you want to check that out again, I'll leave that information below. So a lot of things that's been happening. Okay, we have a very far woke progressive leftist going as justice of the Supreme Court, chosen by our president. That hopefully, if many of you have voted for him due to the fact you disliked Trump's personality, hopefully you regretted that decision, and this person will only serve one term. Secondly, God forbid if Justice Thomas, anything happens to him, uh, most likely this administration is going to pick someone similar to this person that they have nominated right now, if not even far left. I mean, for this woman to avoid the question about what a woman is, knowing she pretty much denigrated herself due to the fact just to please other people and not make herself appear too discriminatory to um, the number of confused people that are out there. And then you had John Kennedy, the senator of Louisiana, love his accent, by the way, who asked her where does life begin or conception, and she didn't know the answer to that either. And then other questionable things that the media has been talking about, her lineage based on her record about criminals. Murderers shouldn't get, she doesn't care how many years a murderer gets. Um, the max of 3 months for pedophiles. And that stuns me. She, being a Black woman herself, 64% of Black girls are molested before the age of 18. So for her to have this type of attitude and lineage and smack on the hand simply because she's trying to protect a certain group of people, which was something Michelle Childs wouldn't have never done, that's going to be a problem for the next 30 years, as Michael Savage said in his interview on Newsmax yesterday. Other updates over in the East Coast in Boston. I also did a podcast about this, about a BLM activist that's going to federal prison for federal fraud, she and her husband. I think her name is Monique or Monica Cannon Grant. She had this organization called Violence in Boston, one of those very activist, anti-cop organizations. And she utilized this organization for personal gain. spent over $100,000 on vacations, her real estate, transportation, even including Uber rides. That's right, for her own personal gain. And now she's going to federal prison. And of course, she's blaming white supremacy now that she's gotten caught. So, when in a nutshell, when you're going after Marxist groups and disliking and being treasonous against your country, this is what you get. So, all of this is tying into the Biden administration one way or another. So, the story we're talking about today, Biden's connection with China and the Ukraine, saying that he's made a lot of negotiations with millions of dollars with them. And now that Joe is in office, he's saying that he actually doesn't do business with these people anymore. Well, it's kind of questionable now that uh, Ukraine is at war and these people are seeking refuge, that doesn't want any part of this political corruption or whatever it's going on. Now you're telling your son not to get involved with these people. Okay. So we have a number of people that's going for what's happening based on the information that we have here. So to have what's going on between China and Ukraine. So the deal with China, as we all know, with Hunter Biden's situation, he was involved with a Chinese spy, inappropriate sexual romance, and other inappropriate things that he's gotten involved with, including debauchery and drugs. Okay, so it introduces about during the 2020 campaign between he and Trump, of course, and uh, I think in one of it may have been the first debate where Joe Biden honored his son during his military service and things like that. And then Trump intervened and said, "Well, you talking about Hunter? You've seen his, you know how his record is." And he mentioned these sins again. And Joe, react, no, I'm talking about Bo. Okay. So here's the story about what went on further with that. So it said during the 2020 election campaign, he and his father, okay, Hunter and Joe, were frequently accused by Donald Trump, and his associates of wrongdoing in regards to China and Ukraine. Both allegations were denied. Okay. So after they were denied, reporters asked, including the New York Times, quote, and during this allegation, an email from an advisor in the Ukraine, some type of a company called Burisma, I believe I'm saying that correctly, and actually thanked him. So the allegations, were dismissed, and why are these people honoring him so much? So when asked, this is what Joe Biden intervened and told him. It was a smear campaign. No criminal activity has been proven, and no evidence has emerged that Mr. Biden did anything to intentionally benefit his son. Okay, another press, BBC, okay, another liberal press. Months after his father was sworn in as president, Hunter Biden defended his qualifications for the position at this company in the Ukraine, but added in retrospect that he had missed the perception that would create. And others of the press were during DC, it was still during Trump's administration. His children was also accused. Of course, they made sure of that, because if Trump Jr. was caught doing even half the stuff, that Hunter was doing, or Eric as well, then this thing would be dismissed. Following up with the federal investigation, the Justice Department is investigating Hunter Biden's finances, including scrutinizing some of his past Chinese business dealing and other transactions. Okay, and a person with that matter, this was the Associated Press back in December. The tax investigation was launched in 2018, but Hunter Biden said he had learned about it for the first time in December. So he says, when he was asked by CBS in April, he said, I am cooperating completely, and I'm absolutely certain that at the end of this investigation, that I will be cleared of any of this wrongdoing. So, what do you think? Is he completely denying it? Okay. In some of his interviews, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I look at him, he seems a bit scruffy or tired or high, even. Okay. Other accusations with China, according to the New York Post, cited an email from Hunter Biden in August of 2017, indicating he was receiving 10 million. Okay, so I think this is the max when I mentioned million in the beginning. Annual fee from a Chinese billionaire for introductions alone, though it is unclear who was involved in the alleged allegations. Okay, I don't think this person of interest was mentioned, but there was a person of interest in the Ukraine, when I'll come to in a minute. Okay, Fox News had confirmed reportedly writers to detail pursued by Hunter's involvement in China's latest private energy firm. It is said to include a mention of 10 held by H for the big guy. Okay. So meaning the 10 million. Okay. So that I don't know what's that, that's some type of secret code in China or something. And then the initial of his first name. Fox News cited unnamed sources as saying the big guy in an email that was referenced to Joe Biden. This message is said to be from May 2017. Both emails would date from when the former U.S. vice president was a private citizen. Okay, so with Joe Biden being the vice president being mentioned, guess what? Yes, it was during Obama's administration. The former business associate of Hunter Biden has come forward to say he had confirmed the allegations. Okay, now Fox News interviews another person of interest, a Navy veteran by the name of Tony Bobulinski. Okay, he states that he had nothing to do with his son. He's repeating his words from Joe. Son's affairs, Hunter had frequently referenced asking him for his sign off or advice on various potential deals in China. Same Navy veteran told Fox News on Tucker Carlson's show that he had met him on 2 occasions to discuss the business deal in China. First, in May 2017, okay, and then secondly, in October 22nd in Tennessee. He says that he asked Joe Biden's brother James whether the family was concerned about possible scrutiny of the former vice president involved in a potential business dealing with a Chinese entity. Mr. Brulinski told Fox News that James Biden had replied plausible deniability. What does plausible deniability is? Is it rectorial, like what this judge, when she's being questioned, is I don't know. I don't know if that's a reference to it. That has nothing to do with my job. Okay. Now, going into the dealings. Okay. So now we have the allegation, accusations, and now the actual proof of what was going on. In 2013, Hunter flew aboard Air Force Two with his father, okay, then Vice President, on an official visit to Beijing. Okay, now the person of interest is coming. But my question is, why are they flying Air Force One when Joe Biden was only the vice president? I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have access, but did Obama know about this? Sounds like some type of private trip to me. On a visit to Beijing, where he met investment banker Jonathan Lee. Okay, let's see who he is. Okay, some type of negotiation. Hunter told the New Yorker he had just met Mr. Lee for a cup of coffee. 12 days after the trip, a privately equity fund with the BHR partners approved to the Chinese authorities. Mr. Lee was chief executive at the time, and Hunter was on board member. He would hold at least 10% of the stake. Okay. So maybe this has something to do, the Chinese spy to maybe this person of interest, because it's not in here. This Mr. Lee may have hired the spy to get access to the laptop that Hunter is trying to hide right now. And during some interview, I think I saw it twice, where the president is saying, people want to know about people's past, people's uh, personal life and laptops and things. Trying to cover him for his son. That's what he's doing. And I can understand that. That's natural. Now some parents are not going to put up with all of that. They're going to say, "Look, you do what you deserve, and you go away." Because I know if my child doing something wrong, she goes to jail. I say, "You stuck there. Don't even call me. I did the best I could raising you. You want to act up, then that's on you." Okay, so the BHR company backed some of China's largest state banks and local governments, according to the U.S. media. Okay, so you know what the media is, all liberals, of course. Now, according to Hunter Biden's lawyer, he said he had joined the board in an unpaid position based on his interest in seeking ways to bring the Chinese capital to international markets. Now, in an interview that Ali Stuckey from Relatable asked last night to a writer of interest, he insists that he wasn't a journalist because he didn't like them, whatever. Name was Mr. Rodriguez. Can you distinguish between international and globalism? Because that's what this sounds like, more like a globalist business. He really couldn't give her an answer because he said they were the same. Now, just because I'm going on an international trip, going to another country, doing international, you know what? I got a better example. When I lived in the 3 countries, 2 were for school, and the other one was as a Peace Corps volunteer. Now, of course, I was suspect. That's why that country is closed, because they suspected we were spies. This was like 10 years later, after I served there. Would that be international globalism? Now, definitely the first two times when I went abroad, that was international. I mean, because I was only there for school for a short time and I went home. But with globalism, all I did was work with nonprofits to get these people for what they need. I didn't do any type of negotiated trade like this. So this sounds more like globalism than just international. Hunter's lawyer also said his client did not acquire his financial stake in the BHR until 2017 after his father had left once in the U.S. Hunter resigned from the board of BHR in April 2020, but still held his 10% stake as of July this year. Okay, this year. All right, July is not here yet, so he's still doing negotiation with China. See that you always got to pay attention to what people are talking about. Okay, even the small details. Okay, now his situation with Ukraine. Now, this is the same business that he's been working with, Burisma, this company in Ukraine. Okay, so let's see what's going on with that. According to the New York Post, they reported April 2015, an advisor in this company apparently thanked Hunter for inviting him to meet his father in Washington. Hunter was a director on the board of Burisma, private energy company, while his father was with the Obama administration on U.S. Ukraine relations. Hunter was one of the several foreigners on board. Now, with this going on this far back, is this Putin's way of attacking them because he didn't make the same business in Russia? The New York Post article did not provide evidence that the meeting had ever taken place. The Biden election campaign said there was no record of any such meeting on the former vice president official schedule at the time. But in a statement to the press called the Politico, okay, I think it's a Spanish newspaper, the campaign acknowledged that Mr. Biden could have had an informal interaction. Does that mean an unexpected visit? Because informal means it was unplanned. Like right now, I'm wearing informal clothes because it's Friday and we can wear jeans to work. So, what does that mean? Informal interaction? So, maybe all of this is coming back to the situation we're in now. I've said it before, and I'm saying it now, that your action always come back to haunt you. Putin coming in, he's being tested, saying, I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. You want to do the business with those people where we've been back and forth for a long time. They speak Russian. We are the original Russian speakers. And you want to talk to them? I guess that's like France and Canada. Canada are neighbors. One of us or a powerful person in a government negotiates with them. Let's say about healthcare. Bernie Sanders comes to mind, even though he knows nothing about how universal healthcare works. And a Canadian can clearly tell you, Lauren Chin, a YouTuber, a Christian lady, political and pop culture, commentary, commenter, whatever you want to call her, explained it in an interview. The U.S. does not understand how it works up here when it comes to healthcare because they have to pay for it. For example, I have to get cataract surgery. So let's say I get it my next visit next month. They may look at my eyes and say yes, but then I may have to wait until next year or 6 months or so to get it. That's what people like Bernie Sanders don't understand about it. I'm sure it's the same way in Scandinavian countries like Sweden, because that's a country he envies. Not understand how that works. Americans in general, because I think it's still 60% socialist. It probably decreased when Trump was in office because he said this will never be a socialist country, God forbid. So, anywho, informal interactions with this organization advisor that did not appear on his official schedule, though it is said any such encounter would have been cursory. Investigations by the press during impeachment and even by two Republican-led Senate committees whose work was not legitimate by the GOP colleague that have reached the same conclusion. Joe Biden carried out that official U.S. policy toward the Ukraine and engaged no wrongdoing, okay, according to a spokesman. Okay? So, and speaking of this spokesman, he knew about their schemes and corruptions in these countries, particularly in Ukraine, excuse me. So what does that tell you? But it's all coming in the light. They say karma, and as a Christian, it's reap what you sow. Mr. Biden's team has also decried the New York Post, story about Russian disinformation. It did not say the emails were bogus. Apparently so. Then it was shared by Trump and his allies, two of his former advisors, Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani. They were also involved in providing stories and hard drive containing alleged emails to the newspaper. So according to former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, he said the messages were found on the laptop that Hunter dropped off at a Delaware repair shop in April of 2019. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're trying to hide, I believe. Skeptics have noticed that Mr. Giuliani traveled in December 2019 to where he met Ukrainian lawmaker Derkach, excuse the language, pronunciation. U.S. Treasury has designated it as a longtime agent. Mr. Giuliani acknowledged trying to dig up the dirt on Biden's in the Ukraine. So who knows how long this is going to last? Okay. And then you got more U.S. media looking at the scandal, and including federal agents and U.S. intelligence digging into it. So, what is this about this accusation? Trump and his allies accused Joe Biden of wrongdoing because he had pushed while vice president for the Ukrainian government to fire its top prosecutor who was investigating the company for which Hunter had worked. Why the investigation? Unless there's some type of corruption. Now, if I'm working in a company of some type of investigation, I'm going to leave it alone. Like, well, what are you all doing that's illegal here? In 2016, Joe Biden called for the dismissal of Ukrainian prosecutor by the name of Viktor Shokin, whose office had this company and other companies under investigation, Burisma and others, more than one. Okay. And they were not active in the investigation, yet a lot of leaders gave financial support to this same organization. Okay. And then it's aiding other businesses, stocks after the presidential election, um, Biden's presidential election. Yep. All this scrutiny over nothing. So this is where it closed when Biden promised that Hunter is not gonna get any more involved with these people. So let's see what he says here in short. Hunter Biden's lawyer said in a statement in October 2019 that he had undertaken his business activities independently. He did not believe it was appropriate at the time to discuss them with his father. Hunter told the New York Magazine that on the only occasion he had mentioned Burisma, and his father said, "I hope you know what you're doing." Okay, so that's actually the title, but with China and Ukraine. So it just closes where Biden promises, not Hunter, even though he was the most involved and he was the one working for these companies and earning the bling and involved in this corruption. Now, I thought this man was working in some university somewhere, but I haven't heard anything else. Whatever. His father said that he's not going to get any more involved with any other federal aid or other foreign federal government. Well, let's see. Because if he's lying, which I'm sure he is, it's going to come out in the light again. Don't forget to like and share the video. Christina Red Soul, thanks. I'm very grateful to be with you live. This was fun. And pray for our nation, persecuted church, and stand firm in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, according to Ephesians 6. I'll talk to you super soon.